Screen Ranters, welcome back! With the MCU's status as a film powerhouse, many actors are now nagging their agents to get a role within the Marvel Universe. However, there are a massive list of rules all MCU thespians have to follow. Some are standard, some are intense. Well, we've compiled a collection of those rules for this video. So sit back and relax, true believers. Let's get cracking.
Lucky for you, my word don't mean squat.
Since the dawn of the Big Two, comic fans have argued over which produces better comics, DC or Marvel. Now, with both companies established in the film industry, fans can now argue which creates better superhero films. For a long time, the companies have been rivals. So it's always been assumed that anyone working within the MCU can't work for DC films. Yet nothing was confirmed. Until now. Well, 2017 to be precise. As part of the Australian Supernova Comic-Con, Chris Hemsworth divulged this little tidbit. Thor stated that it was illegal to work for DC whilst in the MCU. But with James Gunn now directing the second Suicide Squad film and coming back for more Guardians of the Galaxy, perhaps the crew are the exception to the rule. With such worldwide popularity in the MCU, the actors are going to be needed at all corners of the globe to promote upcoming films. For example, as the release for Avengers Endgame was approaching in China, Marvel pulled out all the stops. They sent some of their cast to China to do some press interviews. Paul Rudd, Chris Hemsworth, and Jeremy Renner appeared along with the Russo brothers who directed the film. And Marvel's plan worked. Endgame smashed many box office records over there. So if you're ever in the MCU, you can expect jet lag to be a common issue.
Yeah, well, what else is new?
Basically, when filming on the movie ends, the true work begins. Other staples include cast appearances on Jimmy Kimmel Live. No MCU actor signs on for just one film. It's expected that each main MCU actor will be locked into a multi-picture deal. Even if the character finds their demise on screen, the contract still contains more than one film just in case they want to use them again in the future. So, Aaron Taylor Johnson may return as Quicksilver at some point. The standard deal is for an initial 6 films. Yet sometimes, actors may be given even longer contracts. The man behind Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, originally signed an 8-film deal. Of course, when they near the end of their contracts, then Marvel will bring in a new multi-film deal for their MCU stars. All the actors that jump into the MCU are in it for the long haul. As the MCU deals with superpowers and aliens, not every character on the screen will be human. As such, some Marvel players may be required to don a lot of makeup. MCU mainstays such as Karen Gillan, Zoe Saldana, and Dave Bautista are some of the actors that have to go through this process for every film they're in. They'll spend hours and hours sat in the makeup chair and wait patiently while the amazing artists work. The actors will have to get to the location much earlier than the co-stars as well. Some actors loathe the process. Hugo Weaving, who played the Red Skull in Captain America: The First Avenger, is one such person. He didn't want to return again and was replaced by Ross Marquand in Infinity War and Endgame. At 2013's San Diego Comic-Con, Karen Gillan was part of the MCU panel. The former Doctor Who performer proceeded to show the stunned audience her vast appearance change. She removed her red wig to show her shaven head. It's the sacrifice she made in order to play Nebula. Due to the vast makeup and prosthetics required, Marvel managed to convince Gillan to part with her hair. It makes the job of their makeup artists a little bit easier. But that still must have been a tough decision for Gillan to agree to. Luckily for Gillan, when she negotiated a new contract, she was able to keep her hair for future movies. Marvel heroes change their costumes regularly, especially from one film to another, but even during the same film. Sometimes it can be an obvious change, such as the many Iron Man suits Tony Stark goes through. Other times, the changes can be subtle, like Black Widow's various changes. Either way, if you're joining the MCU, don't get too comfortable with the costume. It's gonna change by the next film in some capacity. Due to how often the costume changes, MCU actors even have their own preferred costumes from their films. Chris Evans is one of the actors to state which is his favorite Captain America suit he's worn. And he's worn a lot of different ones in his MCU career. Superheroes have to be in peak condition. With all the crime fighting, a spare tire around the stomach would just get in the way. That also stretches to the actors portraying the superheroes on screen. The MCU thespians have to follow a strict diet, with Scarlett Johhansson publicly mentioning how fed up she was with eating nothing but chicken and salad. But besides the diet, these superheroes need to work out. Chris Evans has spoken about training for Captain America. The exercise was so vigorous that he was sick at the gym. A lot of the cast will focus on building as much muscle as possible. However, Tom Holland focuses on flexibility. He's even taken up gymnastics to nail Spidey's athleticism. Superheroes need to know how to fight, otherwise, how else are they meant to beat the baddies? As MCU actors, in order to shoot the fighting scenes, the actors need to take some fight training and choreography. The training helps to get as much realism as possible in the battling scenes. Plus, it makes them even more entertaining to watch. Robert Downey Jr. took lessons in Wing Chun, a martial art popularized by the combat legend Bruce Lee. Downey has also credited Wing Chun as helping him keep a positive mental outlook. Meanwhile, Chadwick Boseman, the Black Panther, has taken lessons in capoeira to keep in tip-top condition. And with those Black Panther fight scenes, it definitely paid off. With all the MCU fight scenes and massive stunts, one mistake could result in an injury to an actor. Then the film would have to shut down until the actor is recovered, which would cost Disney a lot of money. This is where trained stunt performers come in. They take on the most dangerous stunts so the actors don't have to. Yet some actors really enjoy doing their own stunts. Chris Evans and Tom Holland being a couple of examples. Yet with Disney in charge, they won't have that opportunity. In order to protect the various faces of the MCU, they insist that the actors let their stunt doubles take the brunt of the danger. And by insisting, we mean Disney wrote this into the actors' contracts. Naturally, Marvel is that scared that the script to their next big blockbuster will end up on the internet, so they've implemented some serious rules to prevent that opportunity. Elizabeth Olsen, who plays the Scarlet Witch, divulged Marvel's paranoia. She talks about how a select number of actors were offered the chance to read the script in a secured room for 5 hours with no personal technology allowed in the room. Unsurprisingly, not many of the cast went through with this offer. If the super thespians wanted to take a script home, then they can, but it will only contain info about their part. Tom Holland was even kept in the dark about Spider-Man's dusting in Infinity War until they were shooting the scene. With Tom's track record, it's not that surprising. If you want to know the full story as an MCU actor, you can't ask another performer what their role is in the film either. No one is allowed to talk about the script's events at all. Otherwise, someone may work out the whole plot of the film and accidentally let it slip to the public. We're looking at you, Mark Ruffalo. To protect their story, the writers would even add fake scenes into the script just to mislead their own actors. It sounds like a lot of trouble to go through. However, considering the waves the franchise is making in the box office, there's a lot of dollar bills at stake. As an actor, you may have certain opinions on the direction you think your character should go in. It's only natural. But in the MCU, that's a bad thing. Edward Norton is infamous for the amount of creative control he wanted in the MCU. Marvel met with the Incredible Hulk actor, only to realize Norton may ask for too much. So that's how Mark Ruffalo was added into the Avengers instead.
Did you know about this?
Mickey Rourke played the villain Ivan Vanko in Iron Man 2. Apparently, Rourke ad-libbed a lot of lines throughout the filming, something which Marvel wasn't happy with. All of those scenes were left on the cutting room floor. Rourke angrily called the filmmakers nerds during an interview.
Oh, this ain't gonna be good.
That working relationship ended well. Actors may have a number of other demands when being part of a film. For Terrence Howard, who played James Rhodes in the first Iron Man film, his request was asking for more money. Howard had made accusations that Marvel wanted to change his payment for the sequel, Iron Man 2. That change being an eighth of the money he got for the first film. He states that the money Marvel would have saved by reducing his fee would have gone to Robert Downey Jr. instead. Marvel didn't respond well to Howard asking for the same amount of money as the first film, so they recast the part and Don Cheadle took up the War Machine mantle. Tom Von Lawlor was the actor behind Ebony Maw in Infinity War and Endgame. During an interview, he mentioned some interesting information from his casting. He stated that each potential MCU actor has to undergo extensive background checks. This is in order to make sure the cast member won't leak any film plots or if the actor has a dodgy past. This rule may not include the crew, as director James Gunn was fired for some controversial tweets he made a decade ago. However, Disney would later reverse that decision and bring the Guardians of the Galaxy filmmaker back into the MCU. Unfortunately for Marvel, during his unemployment, he agreed to do a DC film. Whoops. Comic book fans are a passionate bunch, and Marvel knows this all too well. As such, they love it when actors know their characters inside and out. While this isn't a rule, it is an encouraged suggestion. This suggestion being, research your character with lots and lots of comics. Both Brie Larson and Benedict Cumberbatch are prime examples of actors taking on the suggestion. Larson uploaded a photo of herself reading a Captain Marvel comic whilst she relaxed at home. Cumberbatch was recorded entering a comic book store to grab some Doctor Strange research, all in full costume. Fans love it when actors want to learn from the source material. Besides cinema box office income, film franchises have another huge avenue of money to boost their profits, that being merchandise. Marvel's merchandise machine is prolific in its quest to generate superhero products. Toys, plushies, clothing, cards, and lunchboxes are just some of the items that an MCU's performer's face may appear on. Especially when a new film is coming out, brand new Marvel merchandise is available everywhere. It's part of the MCU deal. If you're going to be in a film, you have to be fine with Marvel using your likeness however they want. If not, there's little chance of getting into the House of Ideas films. So you should expect many action figures with your face. In Hollywood, a good public image is key. If the citizens of the world like you, there's a good chance your films will do pretty well at the box office. A good way to boost your public image is charity work, something which the MCU cast is particularly great at undertaking. Many of the actors will appear at charity events or arrive at a hospital to lift the spirits of the patients, as seen recently with the cast of Spider-Man Far From Home. Also, in 2015, Robert Downey Jr. used his MCU persona to help a child who only has one arm. He brought the young boy an Iron Man-themed bionic arm, much to the boy's delight. We've already taken jabs at Tom Holland and Mark Ruffalo for their superpowers and spoilers. However, their reputation for leaking information isn't built on fiction. They've let slip key moments in upcoming films and interviews. Ruffalo mentions that half the Avengers don't make it before Infinity War came out.
Everybody dies.
Dude.
Not everybody.
The look of horror on his face sums it up. He messed up, and Marvel wouldn't have been too happy. Tom Holland doesn't fare much better. He has to have someone else with him when he gets interviewed, just to limit any possible damage he might accidentally mention. If you do release some spoilers, Marvel executives will be sending some pretty angry emails shortly after. With movies comes filming. With filming comes the possibility of reshooting scenes. It can be due to a whole host of reasons. With a massive franchise like the MCU, this chance becomes more likely. It's something that Idris Elba found out the hard way. After he finished filming for Thor: The Dark World, Elba went off to begin filming Mandela: A Long Walk to Freedom. However, he was ordered by Marvel to come back and do some reshoots. So Elba had to take off his Mandela hat and immediately put the Heimdall hat back on. Of course, he found this process frustrating, but understood his obligations. In 2001, Marvel Comics editor-in-chief Joe Quesada created a new policy for the company. No smoking to be shown by any of the heroes. Wolverine, Gambit, and Nick Fury were some of the prominent characters to be affected by the change. With Marvel now owned by Disney, and Disney primarily being family-friendly, Disney has the same rule on all their films. So that's the case with the MCU as well. In 2008, all the way back prior to Disney's purchase of Marvel, Iron Man was released. Even there, the banning of smoking was present. The villain of the film, Obadiah Stane, would hold a cigar but not actually smoke it. So don't expect to smoke a cheeky cigarette in a Marvel film. Imagine having to deal with the possibility of being shoved into an unmarked van and taken to an unknown location. Sounds frightening, right? It goes against all of our basic instincts. Well, that's the life of being in the MCU cast. Elizabeth Olsen said in an interview that this is exactly what happened to her and the rest of the cast. They were all put into a van, told the ending of Infinity War, and that they were going to film it right now. Wow, all of this was done in order to limit any possible exposure to information being leaked. Wow, Disney are really scared of their cast leaking film information. Cameos are one of the staples in the MCU, something which Stan Lee turned into an art form over his Marvel film career. Cameos can happen in an end credit scene or from the movie itself. An Avenger may just pop up anywhere. It's part of the excitement for the audience. Due to this, actors need to be prepared to appear in someone else's film, such as Captain America's meme-tastic public service announcement in Spider-Man: Homecoming, or a tuckered-out Bruce Banner counseling Tony Stark in Iron Man 3. Usually, the cameos aren't counted in their multi-film contract. Instead, another deal is worked out. Regardless, it's definitely enjoyable when a surprise cameo breezes onto our screens. The House of Mouse isn't known for producing mature content. Disney would usually avoid this practice when considering its family-friendly reputation, but it does allow it on their TV shows. However, any MCU film actors have to realize that they won't be involved in any graphic scenes. Excessive violence is one of those problem areas. Any gruesome depiction is to be avoided at all costs, at least at the moment. Now that Disney have bought 21st Century Fox, one of their key purchases was the Deadpool franchise. Disney have publicly stated that they will keep Deadpool's R rating, so the MCU may involve more adult content later down the line. But for now, we won't be seeing anything too vivid. Actors always have to meet any contractual obligations. Otherwise, they could find themselves in a tricky legal battle. It's part of the film business. This is doubly important for the Marvel entertainers. When Thor: The Dark World was still known as Thor 2, Natalie Portman was advocating for Patty Jenkins to direct the sequel. And she got her wish, for about 2 months. Jenkins and the MCU split due to creative difference. This decision caused Portman to be furious at Marvel. Since then, her role as Jane Foster has been massively diminished. Yet she did fulfill her contract by appearing in Thor: The Dark World, even if she didn't want to. Jenkins, however, went on to make Wonder Woman, so she did pretty well. At the snap of Marvel's fingers, someone's part could be recasted easily. It's one of the lingering fears for franchise actors. Andrew Garfield found this out the hard way. When Sony and Marvel teamed up to bring Spider-Man into the MCU, all eyes were on Garfield to swing into the Avengers. Yet that didn't happen. Instead, the role was given to Tom Holland. Garfield has stated in interviews his sadness on his role being given to someone else. When Sony had their emails leaked, one message from Sony executives mentioned their disappointment in Garfield's behavior during a press tour for The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Supposedly, this may have contributed in Marvel wanting a new Peter Parker. Since becoming the web-slinger, Holland has nailed his portrayal.
Oh man. Anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted.
So that's our list. Which of our entries did you think was the most over the top? Drop your thoughts into the comment section below. Also, please subscribe and click the bell to stay up to date with all of our Screen Rant goodness. Finally, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. And cut!